And here is the reference for that. You can go to a book called Jewish Life in Ancient Egypt. And this was part of, this book is actually a compilation of a presentation that was done at the Brooklyn Museum a few years ago. The oldest known fragment of the Bible. This is a picture of it here. See if you can take that security thing on.
Close.
Yes, you can move the cursor over to it and cancel. You're close. This little inscription, this little fragment, contains a priestly benediction. It is supposed to be based on the book of Numbers. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. And this comes from about, has been dated by scholars as about 600 BC. Now we have this fragment, and then we have the complication of what is called the Old Testament, or the Torah. The 5 books of the Torah that were supposed to be written by Moses. That compilation occurred between 600 BC and about 100 BC. Before that, there was no such thing as a Jewish Bible. Okay, so for 9,500 years we go along, and then all of a sudden we have something being compiled called the Jewish Bible. The original Jewish name for God was called Elohim. Elohim means, actually it means gods and goddesses. And that term is actually compatible with the ancient Egyptian term we gave earlier, Neteru, gods and goddesses. So where does this idea of a single God the Father and monotheism come from then? If the ancient Jews, did you realize what this means? The ancient Jews were not monotheists. At least not in the context that we speak of today. You realize that? What does this mean? So where does this concept or this idea of monotheism come from? That seems to have dominated the world, and they seem to have thrown all other religions into some kind of bin of a dustbin of primitive nonsense. You follow what I'm saying? The 3 Western world religions are more advanced than higher because they believe in monotheism. Everybody else who believes in polytheism or anything else is primitive and lower, right? Isn't that the general concept? So where is this was the ancient Jewish conception of God? Where does this other thing come from? No, go ahead. I hit it one more time. This is again just a little map to show where where the ancient Jews who were living in Egypt, where they lived. This is Northeast Africa. This is the Nile Valley with Egypt. And here at the very southern tip, where the J is, here again, we have the city of Elephantine, or also known as Philae. Philae means the beginning, and it's also called Philae. And we have the temple of Set at Philae. And the god of Philae, or beginning, is the creator, Kanu. Here, just to give an idea on the timeline, Abraham, Moses, and the Jewish Bible, again. Moses supposedly lived around 1900 BC, or rather Abraham, and Moses at around 1200, again. Here we have the fractal of the Bible at 600. Say it again. This concept of absolute monotheism was actually a new invention. As I said before, in the ancient period, what we may term as pre-rabbinic, the ancient Jews did not believe that there was one absolute monotheistic divinity that existed. They believed in many, all rolled into one, shall I say. Read this for me.
During the period of Rabbinic Judaism, the rabbis were seeking to reinterpret Jewish practices and concepts as the people were in exile, and at a time the temple was not in existence, and there was no anchor for Jewish practice. Prior to the development of the Rabbinic Judaism form of Judaism, Jewish practice included a henotheistic view of divinity. The same was true in Gnostic Christianity. However, with the development of Rabbinic Judaism, there developed the concept of exclusive monotheism that was different from the henotheistic form of monotheism. The rabbinical movement held that there is only one main God, as opposed to the previous view that there was one main God among other lesser gods, which was included in the ancient Egyptian religions, African religions, Greek religions, and Indian religions.
So we have an association between Judaism and ancient Egypt, in which the Jewish conception was compatible with the ancient Egyptian conception of divinity. Remember we said Neder, and then we said Nederu. Remember the God, and then the God, the goddesses. And the Jewish concept, we have Elohim, which is a kind of a universal concept of divinity that means God, the goddesses, that means many. However, and also we can say the same thing for early Christianity as well. Early Christianity, called Gnostic Christianity, as it developed, was compatible with the ancient Egyptian religions as well, and we'll show more detail on that. But at about 100 years after Jesus supposedly lived, we have a movement in Christianity also towards orthodoxy. So in Judaism and Christianity, we have a movement towards orthodoxy. We have a movement towards dogma. We have a movement towards literalism and historicity, where the mythic origin of the religion is not being separated from its ancient Egyptian origins. So that it can be seen separately. And what that means is that we have here, at around 100 ACE, about 100 years after Jesus was supposed to be alive, we have an association with Zoroastrianism. And Zoroastrianism indeed does have ideas of a monotheistic absolute divinity, excluding all others. Prior to this time, the Christians and the Jews believed that their God was the same as Canu, the same as the ancient Egyptian God, the same as the God of the Assyrians. But now we have an absolute idea. Now the God is not compatible with anything else. Now, with the Rabbinic Judaism coming in and the Orthodox Christians, now our God is the only God and all other gods don't exist. All other gods are wrong. All other gods are false. And what is the next logical step beyond that? If our God is true and your God is false, you're going to hell and I'm going to heaven. Right? And since I'm